Yo, whoa, hey. It's Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and brassringmedia.com. Check it out. I'm flying solo today. It's Dom Solo. Robert is on assignment, so he cannot make it today. But we're going to talk a little bit about that extreme version of Dynamite that took place in Philadelphia last night at the 2300 Arena, formerly the ECW Arena. Later today, I will be on the conference call with Tony Khan for the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view that's going to go down this weekend in Philadelphia. So if you have some suggestions of what I should ask Mr. Tony Khan, I will hear them. I got a couple in mind, though, that I do want to ask. And so, but feel free to give me some pitches if you'd like. But let's say hi to some folks in the chat here. Triple E says, "What's up?" Dre Owen says, "Yo, R&I, AEW went extreme a little bit. Johnny Disco says, "Good day on R&I. We were so excited, though. We were so excited. I was." Willie Thornberg says, "Darby Allin, have heard of being on TV, but going through a TV, that's impressive. I know that's some high definition right there. Eh? Triple E, are you excited?" Oh, yeah, we know we are. Any Greg and Magnum episode, Statler and Waldorf episode this week. I got to text them. So if we can line it up tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow, Friday. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dre Owen says, "Ask TK when we can get the ROH on Max." I know that's a lot of questions that people want to know about too. Is what's the future of Ring of Honor? Jake made it. He was on vacation in San Diego. Oh, nice. Did you go to Condado Beach? That's where my older brother took me, Luke, when I visited San Diego. San Diego is beautiful. It's a very beautiful city. The temperature is like almost always perfect. Just an expensive place to live. Slept through them this week. Oh, no problem. I don't blame it. Geez, that layover you'd probably get going over to, not layover, but the time shift. Anywho, let's talk a little bit about some things. First off, I do want to start off with talking about my other podcast, One of a Kind with RVD. Rob and I will be going live tonight at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we, if you haven't tuned into the latest episode, Rob got some pretty good heat going on there. And if you're attuned to what's been going on social media, there is, he got a lot of feedback and a lot of negativity going against him when he made that tweet about saying that he had Raja's back. Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, who attacked Psycho Stu. And personally, I think Raja should go to jail for what he did. I think it was really irreprehensible. And Rob echoed pretty much the same sentiments on the show, that he thought he did not defend Raja whatsoever. He just saw the route that how this all culminated into such a tragic moment in the ring. So look, we're going to go over that feedback tonight, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have an individual who posted a video that disagreed with what Rob had to say on the podcast. So we're going to have somebody else on there too to see a little back and forth here. Plus, I'm going to read feedback too on there. Look, it's a horrible situation. It's very sad. It's good to see that Stu is awake and alert and with friends and everything. And, but, it's something that we're covering and we're talking about. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Feel free to join us, rvdtv.com, and get some more context and nuance. A lot of the social media feedback has been very, very boilerplate. Typically what you would hear when a fan disagrees with the wrestler, oh, it's CTE, or if they disagree with RVD, oh, it's CTE and weed. It seemed like a lot of lazy feedback that came through it, and it seems like a lot of people did not actually watch the video to actually hear what Rob had to say, or maybe they just didn't retain it because they don't get nuance and context. All right, there's my little rant to start the show. All right. Oh, you do have well, why are you sleeping in? I'm from Phoenix, so same time zone, 5.5 hour drive. Maybe the drive. I'll blame the drive for you. How's that sound? There we go. Any Razor update? Razor is crashing out on my bed right now. He usually, It's weird. His sleep schedule must have changed because he gets a little rowdy sometimes during the show. He hasn't gotten rowdy during the show lately. It's been more so later on. Okay, enough with that. Speaking of rowdy, AEW got a little rowdy in Philadelphia last night. Overall, I thought it was a good show. Definitely do have some thoughts and criticisms, a little bit of nitpick stuff, but really, really cool presentation. I'm going to say this straight out right away. I think the presentation that AEW did, the setup that they did for the ECW quote unquote 2300 arena was the best wrestling setup I've ever seen. And homage to ECW, the mesh cage fencing leading to the ring. Usually they took a different path, literally, in the arena, because usually people enter from the stage. So where the crowd was sitting off to the right of the entryway, that is where people enter almost all the time. Never has that really changed. Well, AEW decided to put seating across the board over there, and instead they entered from the side. And if you're familiar with the 2300 arena, there's like a set of doors or a door that is off to the side that like goes to the back area. And that's where everybody was entering from. So I thought that was a really, really cool presentation and change setup. I wonder if that was a Mike Mansouri thing. I might have to touch base with him and see if that was his brainchild, because I thought that was really, really cool. And so the look and aesthetic of it was super cool. The entrance was awesome. Awesome. And two, I thought just how they started things off with FTR and Stokely Hathaway, and then ultimately we get Cope and Christian together. It's a fun dynamic, really fun dynamic. This is some good stuff that it's so funny. I'm almost calling it ECW. AEW has really presented in the past when it comes to these fun kind of feuds and stuff like that. This feels like a pretty big deal, and it's moving towards a fun kind of thing between these two teams. CNC is a good name too for Edge and Christian, Cope and Christian. CNC, Cope threw that out. Christian was very funny with the dad lines. I did bust out laughing at that legitimately. So good stuff. I'm intrigued for this, and I'm glad they announced the match just here and right now already. Like now we have a little under a month to build, 3 weeks to build. Bear with me while I grab my computer charger here, as my thing is set to perish in just a few minutes if I don't plug it in. But yes, I did like that. I liked that the opening of Dynamite quite a bit. I'm pulling up the results right now. Best producer in the business to go over match by match, segment by segment here. But the crowd, I thought, was into it. I thought AEW could maybe have done a little bit more to keep them into it. Multi-man tag matches, I don't know how much that really helps. I know you want to get people on the card and everything to that effect, but I don't think that is conducive to making things feel like high stakes. And if you're in an intimate arena setting such as that, I think stuff gets lost in the shuffle. And I don't think, and I think fans, to be honest, might be getting a little disenchanted with these multi-person tag matches. So I would love to see AEW kind of switch away from the multi-person tags and do something a little bit different. And I think it is cool. We're getting a little bit of a good tease when it comes to Okada and Takeshita. I think that what they do together is going to be really cool. And I think we got a little nice teaser of that, I thought, too, as well. So I thought that was some good stuff. Here, let's take a look. Let's take a look at more of the results here. Yep, the Cope Christian segment. We had Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. I like this match. I liked it. I don't know if I like the finish as much, but it's an understandable finish in regards to what they're doing for telling a story, I think. Daniel Garcia was using wrestling technique to outwit Moxley, and I thought that was a really cool start to the match and everything to that effect. So, and then Mox ends up getting the pinfall on Garcia by a cradle. And then you can kind of see that Moxley showed him a little bit of respect, like, "Ooh, this close," kind of thing. And then afterwards, Mox is going up against him at ringside as Wheeler Yuta's cutting a promo in the ring, and kind of a neat little shift of what is presented on pro wrestling, like an exchange going in the back and kind of making it feel awkward a little bit and things like that. I think, but Moxley seems to be getting in Daniel Garcia's ear a little bit. There's a little bit of tease of that. And I thought that was good stuff. I think that's a good move. I don't like the Death Riders, but I wouldn't mind seeing Moxley and Garcia team up, maybe after this dust is settled with Darby Allin. And I just want an end to the Death Riders. I really do. Dre Owens also says Daniel Garcia needs something to change his gimmick, maybe a kick out Yuta and bring in Garcia for the Death Riders. Yeah, I would like something akin to that. I just don't want the Death Riders anymore, right? I mean, I feel that way. I just think they should just get away with disperse the faction. There will be more. I'll talk about that regarding the main event too, is why I think even there's more credence to make the change away from the Death Riders. Not that we needed more, I don't think, to be honest. I mean, geez, oh man. I think there's potential money in Daniel Garcia, and you can get some potential money too by using the Cash App. Do you love how fast it was to sign up and get started to the Cash App if you tried it? Or have you ever overdrafted on your bank account back in the day? What happened and what did that feel like to you? Oh, I've done it before, and my goodness, it's very upsetting. It's very upsetting because you get an additional charge on it. And if you're sometimes living paycheck to paycheck, and believe me, dirt sheet riders live paycheck to paycheck sometimes, it's a rough go when you overdraft. Well, guess what? The Cash App does more than you think when it comes to having your back and making sure your money stays your money. If you direct deposit at least $300 in paychecks each month and use the Cash App card for purchases, you can unlock up to $200 in free overdraft coverage. So get that. So if you overdraft unexpectedly, there are no hidden fees. Manage your money on your terms and take advantage of free overdraft coverage up to $200 on the Cash App today. So for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download the Cash App, use our exclusive referral code CashApp10. That's CashApp10 in your profile and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. And you'll get $10 dropped right in your bank, right into your Cash App account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank. Member FDIC. Direct deposit, roundups, overdraft coverage, and discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Incorporated brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. So thank you, Cash App. Yes, it comes in handy. All right. Continuing on here. We have Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford taking on Chris Statlander and Harley. Is that right? Was that Chris Statlander? Oh, I guess it was. Wow, I thought it was. That's crazy. I thought it was Alex Winsdor. Oh my gosh. No. So, but yeah, this Harley Cameron star. The funny thing is I was at my other job today, and it so happened my buddy, casual wrestling fan, was like, "Hey, did you catch Dynamite?" He's like, "I watched Dynamite last night. Did you watch it?" I was like, "No, I'm watching it this morning." And he was like, "Tell you what, Harley Cameron's awesome. She's my favorite." And I was like, "Well, really?" And he was like, "Yep, Harley Cameron." So he's a big fan of Harley Cameron. The casual fan likes Harley Cameron, and that speaks volumes. People should be paying attention to that. Tony Conchi. So that's another question I could maybe ask him today. I got a lot of questions on my mind with Tony today. Lots that I want to ask. So if you guys do have a question, though, boom, put it in the chat. I'll at the very least, I'll read it on here and give you props for a good question. And I'll give you my thoughts on the question as well. But I think, just the star potential in Harley Cameron. Obviously, your star potential in Megan Bayne. This was Chris Statlander. Yes, I see the picture now. So good stuff. I think that leads to Mercedes Moné talking about Alex Winsdor. I like the setup with all the belts, the 9 belts Moné, and it's just weird. This actually segment gave me a couple of thoughts. Thought number one is like hearing Mercedes Monet's music come out made me think of when she debuted in AEW and the reaction she got in Boston. I can't remember what the title they gave that episode of Dynamite, but like making it feel like a big deal that she was showing up. And then it just made me think about like, wow, could you imagine AEW in an alternate universe if everything went copacetic with CM Punk, if everything went copacetic with Cody Rhodes, and they happened to stick around? Could you imagine they garnered CM Punk? And I'm not even saying Bryan Danielson. I'm not saying Adam Cole either, because I thought those were big debuts into the company as well, obviously. But I'm just specifically saying these three people: Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Mercedes Moné shows up. How big of a deal would AEW have felt at that juncture if you had all those names there still? Like that, and I felt like Mercedes Moné felt like a big deal in a way, but not to that level of a CM Punk or like a Cody Rhodes. Her value is certainly there, but if she was there with them, that whole brand, the AEW identity would feel like real, like big time, like competition to WWE. Even if there's still that separation of the financial household name notoriety. I mean, AEW would feel like a really, really, really big deal and be in that position that I think a lot of fans were expecting it to be. But now Mercedes Moné is here, and I think she does all right at this promo. I like, people criticize her for her promo ability, but I don't think she's that bad. I think the ring aspect of her, the wrestling aspect of her, certainly balances out maybe what is not there sometimes behind the microphone. But this also made me think, though, okay, she's got 9 belts. Guess which belt she doesn't have? Oh, the AEW Women's World Championship. Well, that's a shame. She should have it. I think if you were booking it right, she should have been at this juncture 10 belts, Monet. And because to be honest, Tony Storm doesn't need that title right now. And number 2, like you make her 9 belt gimmick seem a lot more credible. If she doesn't have hold of the major women's championship in AEW, but she's got all these other belts and she already lost, it just feels very weird. And then on top of it too, like I'm all for pushing newer talent and new faces and everything like that. Alex Windsor, somebody that is newer to the AEW brand and everything to that effect. But if you're going to do that, you should have Mercedes Moné have 10 belts, and the most important one that you have in your company. It just feels like a really weird and unfortunate kind of setup for her. Dre Owens asks, ask TK if he'll do a special show like Saturday Night's Main Event on like a Thursday. Well, that's not a bad question. I just think that some of that stuff, like I think he would be like, oh yeah, I'd be open to that. I think that's how he would react to it. And he's like, that would be something we would consider. And then I think he'd go into the history of having specials like the Battle of the Belts or whatever it was and certain things like that. So I do think he would be receptive to hear something like that. Do you want to hear what my questions are? These are what my potential questions are. You guys let me know what you think. Yeah, here you go. Let me know what you think of. Maybe make your vote in the chat here of which question I should ask Tony Khan today during the thing. So this one loosely ties into ROH because it involves a former ROH world champion. And that would be, hey, what is the status of Chris Jericho? Are you interested in re-signing him to a deal? Here's one question. Chris Jericho, one question. Question number 2. Do you see Wardlow as a main eventer in AEW? That's question number 2. What do you think of that one? And then this is my off-the-wall question. that I wanted to ask, and I should have asked at the last conference call last week. What are your thoughts on the passing of Hulk Hogan? Now that's out of left field a little bit, but I figure Tony Khan is one of the biggest names in pro wrestling right now. We haven't heard what he had to say about Hulk Hogan. We've heard what AEW said about Hulk Hogan, or Tony Schiavone in particular. But what does Tony think about the passing and legacy of Hulk Hogan? Uh, Here's another one. Triple E asks. Ask Tony about Jack Hager comments on Chris Van Vliet interview this past Tuesday, right? That's getting a lot of buzz in regards to, what he had to say, his thoughts on Tony Khan. I do think that element would be kind of that question. I think it's a very fair question to ask, actually, Triple E. But in the same turn, I do think I always kind of try to read maybe what kind of response I would get out of that. And I think maybe what we would get is nothing that's maybe worthwhile, to be honest. I think that might be something Tony kind of tries to veer away from. I don't think we would get necessarily a straight kind of feedback. That's not a bad one. Dre Owens asks, will TK do an AEW versus ROH show like SmackDown versus Raw used to do? I think a lot of the talents kind of overlap with one another in ROH, though. Some are particular to ROH, but AEW, it seems like we get a lot of, because they're promoting what, Bandito and El Hechicero at Death Before Dishonor. So I don't know how much of a crossover there is. And to be honest, the brand of Ring of Honor is really not that big right now. Like, if you go to ROH and you're solely on ROH, you're not existent. I mean, look at Athena and what they did with her over the course of what is it, almost 2 years, if not that already. Like, I don't know. That's like that's a question that I don't think Tony. I mean, I think Tony would be all for doing something like that because it hypes up both brands, and I think he would be very receptive to that question. But I don't know the value of that. Maybe ROH should be strictly developmental. If that's the case, then they should leave it like that, right? I mean, they should make a mention that it is the developmental system, and they should have really embraced that, I think, earlier on, especially if Bryan Danielson had an interest in helping doing that. Like, make that your school. Like, that would have been cool. That would have been really cool, and it would have gave it a unique identity, and maybe give fans some incentive to, I do have to tune into this because I want to see who's on the rise here and what stars could possibly replace somebody when Will Ospreay is hurt or Swerve Strickland is off television, and so I think that would have been a great idea. That would have been a great idea. Ask why Tony Khan, why he stopped going on Busted Open. Will he ever go back to work it out with Dave LaGreca? I love Dave LaGreca. Yeah, I think it was funny. I would tune into Busted Open Radio and Dave would be like, yeah, we usually have Tony Khan here on Wednesdays, but he has been coming. He hasn't been showing up. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know. Maybe Tony did not want some of the questions that were asked and to do that, but I don't know. Interesting. Not some pretty good questions being asked by you guys here. But yeah, I'm leaning towards, depending on the order it gets asking, I could imagine somebody asking about Jericho already. So I'm just like, do I ask about Wardlow or do I ask about Hulk Hogan? I just don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think it over. If you guys give me some feedback, those are my top two I'm thinking of going. Yeah, but I don't know. I appreciate your comment just right now. I'm not going to put it up, but Triple E, that comment here, but it will lead me to my topic, the return of Hook. Being a fan of the crooners, D. Martin, Frank Sinatra, all that stuff, I kind of dig Hook's new theme. Does it really match up with them? Not at this juncture. It doesn't, but maybe, it'll kind of make that, what is it called when it, I don't know. Maybe they'll gel together here at some point or another. Yeah, but look, putting Hook in that position at the ECW, pretty darn cool. So I do like Hook being back in the mix. Let's position him in the right manner here. Let's get him, like, have him be that silent, deadly killer kind of thing, and then, give him maybe a new outfit that looks like it's just a world beater, something to that effect, where like you really embrace that cool factor that Hook has. And he does have star potential, like big time, I think. So it's just like build him in the right manner. Maybe get a cool mouthpiece for him. Like, and not his dad. I don't think his dad could be, has to do that. Taz is awesome. I love Taz. I love me some Taz. But I think I mean, I would recruit somebody legendary that you can kind of have that would be a great. Oh my God. I just thought about it. Get Fonzie. Fonzie. Bring Fonzie to Hook, Daddy. Get Fonzie in there, Daddy. Yes, I found it. Boom. There it is, Tony Khan. I love it. Get Fonzie, baby. Oh man, I gotta talk to Fonzie. Here's another question. Oh man. Ask if he would have Vince McMahon guest host one night or do commentary. Oh my God. Could you imagine if I asked that, Triple E? My goodness. He would have Vince McMahon. I think he would be I think that would be a no. That's a no for me. Dre Owens, will TK consider 2-night events since his pay-per-views are so long, or use Collision as a pre-show to the pay-per-view? Boy, I don't want to put anything out there like that, because what if he does do it 2 nights for a show that, you know, respect to the pay-per-views, and like they do good jobs at the pay-per-views. They're long. I don't tune into them. I was really revolted by the whole fork ear thing with Darby Allin. It really turned me off. I'm not gonna lie, it did. That's another thing I was gonna ask about too. How much does he play into like knowing those kind of things beforehand, like the fork spot? Like that's just such a turn off. Such a turn off. Overall, though, I mean, pay-per-views, they do a good job, but they're really long. They're really long. You get, it is quantity and quality at the same time, but it's a lot of quantity. So good questions being asked here, both by Dre Owens and Triple E. Everybody else can feel free to chime in as well, too. Let's continue on here with the Dynamite discussion. We had Brodito and Jet Speed versus the Don Callis family. Okay, so fun stuff. Brodito's awesome. The tandem of Brodito is really cool. I would keep them around as long as you can as a tag team and have them go on a run, with these titles. And, maybe they ultimately meet up with the Young Bucks. Here's the thing. So I didn't get to say this yesterday with Robert and Justin Brasso. This is my thought process. You have it build towards Brodito versus the Young Bucks, potentially is it All Out? Yeah, at All Out. You have them build towards that. So Young Bucks versus Brodito for the tag team titles at All Out. You have the Broditos. Brodito beat the Young Bucks. You beat them clean. Boom. Heels. They lose. They don't win. It gives them an epiphany. And then you turn the Young Bucks babyface, because I think what they're doing now is a lot of fun with the Young Bucks. I think you put them in the manner of being baby faces again with that kind of humor, that kind of thing. You can revitalize the Young Bucks, kind of get a new top tag team again, and just have them go on a bit of a run as well. That being said, you also need to build some heel tag teams up at the same time. Triple E. Ask Tony Khan if he will hire Marcus to do any match or anything. Plug Marcus in the call. That would be so one-minded. I can't do that. Yeah, that'd be. Hey, my brother, gotta check him out, Tony. Marcus D'Angelo. He's a great wrestler. Oh my God, I could do that, couldn't I? Oh jeez. Dre Owens, will TK get the numbers for max viewership? Yes, it's a good one too, Dre. Let's continue on. Kenny Omega comes out to save Hangman. All right, so Hangman cuts a promo. I don't know. I'm not buying what Hangman's selling at this juncture when it comes to how he's doing on the mic. I think he needs to find a little bit of sense of humor about him. Or something that you can connect with, because he's just spitting stuff that is very paint by numbers baby face, and it's not connecting. I don't know. Am I off base with that? That's how I kind of feel. Like, thank you, Will Ospreay. We appreciate you. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's not. not very engaging to me. I don't think. Um, I mean, he's over like to an extent. Like you see, the crowd loves him and everything like that. And I like Hangman. I like Hangman. I just don't know how much what he's doing right now as a babyface is really resonating with me or maybe a broader audience. It just feels very, hey, here's your champion. Here's what he has to say. Oh, here's potentially some of the people he's going against. Him defending himself against the Don Callis family was cool for a little bit, I think. Then you bring out the people we just saw on television, like in the previous match, come out. It kind of takes away a bit of that boom, that impact that you get, you know. So don't know how that was necessarily handled in the right manner and in the right order. I don't know. I mean, I would bring out other friends potentially or other good guys. Um, but Kenny Omega coming out and them forming an alliance, crowd pop for that one. And Kenny looks like somebody posted a side by side of Kenny in those jeans, shirtless with those jeans on, and Triple H from 2002 when Triple H had the same look. It's pretty wild seeing side by side. But yeah, so that I think it was a fair segment. They got to do something a little bit more. Find something. Hangman's got to find something. AEW's got to find something for Hangman to really sink his teeth into here. In the Don Callis family, a lot of guys in the Don Callis family, and a lot of them are just fodder, continue to be fodder. And I don't think that's the best thing to do. It's not. You want to build some heels. And Wardlow here felt like a complete afterthought in the whole show. He's standing by Don Callis' side as he's introducing other wrestlers to wrestle. There's no talk of Wardlow about why he returned. He didn't get on the mic to say anything. He's just standing there. It's like that's what Wardlow did when we first saw Wardlow in AEW. Why are we back to that? You have a guy, a viable star in Wardlow to do that, to be in the position against Hangman Page or aligned with Hangman Page since you're short on baby faces. Is that intriguing? You could make this intriguing. I think should Hangman go through the Don Callis family until it's Wardlow versus Hangman? Great question. Again, it plays to the thing I was just complaining about of them being fodder. It would mean a lot more if you've built a Josh Alexander, you've built a Rocky Romero, you've built a Hechicero, you've built a Lance Archer again. If there was somebody, we could hate them vicariously or like live through them vicariously in certain manners, or like just be intrigued by the matchup of Hangman versus these people. If you're just throwing them out there one by one, it's another trope that AEW uses too often. And that leads me to the main event. Darby Allin taking on Claudio Castagnoli. I think I said it right. I'm always paranoid of how I say that. And I never know if I say it right. But I listened to what how Excalibur pronounced it, and I think I said it right. Castagnoli. But either way, this was a fun match. This was great stuff. I liked it. I didn't like. I'm just sick of Cesaro Claudio losing. I'm sick of it. And he's somebody that really has that connection with fans, has that star power potential that has not been ever really tapped into. Nobody's gone the whole full complete route with I wandered off I did. Robert just texted me. I tuned in for a second and you wander off screen. What a pro. He literally tunes in when I'm plugging in my laptop. Oh, that's great. But anywho, you have somebody like a Claudio, like just be a world beater. And like, okay, if you're having him lose to Darby, I can get into that because you're building Darby and I thought what Darby did earlier on in that vignette was really, I didn't like the blood spot with the fork. I say that already. I didn't like it, but how they portrayed the vignette and everything, I thought was really well done. Added to the creepiness and the wild nature of Darby Allin, and added to the stakes of him and Moxley, and him potentially ending John Moxley's reign as this Death Rider king or whatever, But the aspect of it all, really bugs me is what Robert said yesterday when it came to how a lot of this stuff is booked is like video game bosses. They're in Mega Man mode where, it's Darby Allin is Mega Man, and then you have Claudio Man, then you have Gabe Kid Man. Then will you have Moxley Man? Who knows? But either way, it's done in the wrong order, number one. Because Claudio should have been above Gabe Kidd. Like, Gabe Kidd, no offense, Gabe Kidd, it looks like if Mac Miller and Claudio had a baby, you get Gabe Kidd. So Gabe Kidd looks like little brother Claudio. Okay. That, it just doesn't seem, it seems like a tired formula. Like, Darby Allin is not, I love Darby. I think Darby is like really cool, unique. I wish he would do less crazy stuff, to be honest. I really do. Like, I wish a lot of people would do less crazy stuff. But like, he's not a Hulk Hogan where you're lining up dragons for him to slay. Like, this is a tired formula. You don't do this with somebody like Darby. You build story with Darby. You're just feeding him Moxley members, Death Rider members. And you're doing it in the wrong order. Gabe Kidd is nobody is associated with Gabe Kidd. Nobody gives in America, nobody gives a crap about Gabe Kidd. No offense to Gabe Kidd. I think what I saw from him, he's got this wild potential and everything like that. But I just mean, like, I'm not attached to Gabe Kidd. It was funny. I showed RVD like the clip of the fork spot because I wanted him to talk about it, and we're all like, me and Katie are grossed out by it, and Rob pops because who's the guy selling it on the mat? That's Claudio. He thought it was Claudio, and I was like, oh yeah, no. He's like, that guy over there, and I was like, oh, that's Gabe Kidd. Speaks to my point. I just think you're doing this in the wrong order, and this is a tired trope of AEW that's been going on forever. It's just not fun. I think could be handled differently. It's a shame that they're just using Claudio as fodder, like you are with Don Callis family members. It's repetitive. It's repetitive and it's kind of boring and it's not intriguing. The match was great though. It was fun. The match was fun. The finish, I'm not all for. I understand you're building to Mox and Darby. I just think there's another way to get there, and you got to do something different. Overall though, fun presentation. Mark Briscoe's promo was great too. Him having the baby, and he's like, "Please take this." I thought that was great. And yeah, so I'm intrigued by him and MJF. I think that'll be a fun match for AEW in Philly show as well. So, when is Marina Shafir going to go after Toni Storm? That's a good thing. That's a good question. Now I know, like, Robert's not big into Marina. I think, she's like this silent killer kind of thing, but she would be a great opponent for Toni Storm. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that should have went down maybe before the Athena thing, right? I think Athena is the one that should have. If you weren't going to have Mercedes Moné take that title, you should have had Athena take that title. I respect the fact that Toni Storm is such a star, but honestly, she's such a star, she doesn't need the title anymore right now. She just doesn't. You can give it back to her later on. But look, you want Mercedes Moné to be your biggest women's star you have. You have all these titles except your main one. This was a fun show. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it, but there's some holes here still with every wrestling promotion. Hey, we'll be talking more about those holes tomorrow on Rumor and Innuendo with Robert Karpolis. We'll preview SmackDown, the Go Home SmackDown before Clash in Paris, and we'll also just talk about the news ongoing as well. So maybe we'll talk about that Tony Khan conference call that's set to go down later today. But I'll keep you posted. If you're get ready, Robert will likely record an episode of Working Stiff today with Scott Chaplin. So he'll cover Dynamite in that realm, I'd imagine, and preview Clash in Paris as well. And then check out Something to Wrestle with. Something to Sports Entertainment with Robert's exclusive Patreon that he does. He posted, I posted it technically early this morning when I thought I posted it yesterday. Best producer in the biz. So it's up now, but you can subscribe to it and check it out. Today I might do a daily hotline. I just don't know what I'm really super intrigued to talk about at the moment. Maybe I will after the Tony Khan conference call. Let's see how I feel when it comes to that, and see if there's anything that I could really chat about. But yeah, tonight, rvdtv.com. Join us, me and Rob. We're taking fans' feedback live. We'll take your feedback live, but we're also going to read some feedback that he received over the course of the week. And we're going to have somebody that's contrary to Rob's thought process and how what Rob had to say on Monday's episode here that we recorded. So we're going to get different opinions. And it's going to be really intriguing. I don't know this person, but Rob sent me the link to this guy talking about it, and we're going to have him on. He's going to talk about what he thinks about the situation, and Rob's going to fire back. So it should be interesting. rvdtv.com, live, 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Join us. Hit subscribe, hit like, help the channel out. Somehow it seems we're getting some downvotes on last week's video. So if you want to help us boost up the algorithm, please subscribe to that channel and support the show. And we thank everybody for tuning in here every Monday through Friday here on the Ad for Show's YouTube channel, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at WD Creative _ish X account, the at SE Scoops X account on Oh You Didn't Know YouTube channel, and on River and Innuendo YouTube channel. But hey, let's talk a little bit more on Friday. Best of luck in everybody's future endeavors, and go Jets. Go Jets. I'm always just going to start saying that now. Go Jets. Huh? All right.